Good morning, Max. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Julien, how are you? How's Paris? How's the evening? How's life?
It is still very cold. January is generally cold. It is very cold.
Fair enough.
I'm glad I'm indoor. With a power shortage, it makes it even more difficult to get the heat in. But I just feel warm being with you here today. So,
Oh, there you go. There you go.
um,
So, are you going to be a proxy for us for somebody here?
I am. Not that I don't have stories of my own, but I've been whining for 2 years. So, trying to follow up
Share
on
the
our
load a little
new.
bit.
Yeah, let's use a new model, see how long we can last with that. But yes, I've got one story. I'm a little bit disappointed because the person ticked the box, remain anonymous. I thought it would have been even funnier to drop a name there, but hey, that's the game. Um, and I think I would understand why. I'll read out the story, and I guess you'll have an idea of why the person preferred to remain anonymous. I unfortunately don't have your acting skills, so I'm going to be a passive reader here. So if you would, you know, hang with me for a second.
I'm sure the voice of this anonymous person will come ringing through.
I'm not sure. I may get complained below the video, but hey, that would be as close as I can. So here is this. I'm just going to skip to the story directly. Here's a story. I use a service that collects small savings from a list of selected vendors. So when I buy from these vendors, assuming that I click from the service platform, I accept the cookies, and I don't use any promo code, I then get a small cashback saved on my account that I can then send to my bank account as soon as I reach a certain amount of money. Now, my problem is that 9 times out of 10, the amount is not counted automatically, and I need to wait for a full month before then making a claim. And then after a month, I claim the money with a screenshot, with the invoice number, with the account number, and all of that. Then I need to wait up for another 2 months to finally get the money or not. And recently I've made claims that did not get answered for 3 months, and then after multiple follow-ups, I've received a very arrogant response stating, as you can see on your account, we've credited you last week. What do you think of that? Well, that's a great question. What do you think? Where do we start? What do you think of that?
So, why do I want to do this service?
So it's not written in the story, but I'm assuming we're talking about 1 to 5%, 10% if you're lucky. And I'm assuming that's for daily purchases, right? So probably supermarkets or Amazon stuff. Probably not even Amazon, but probably not when you buy a car or a house. So we're probably talking about a few dollars each time, I'm guessing.
Right. So this is our favorite. Is it more trouble than it's worth? And this one just screams that.
It does sound well. I mean, we are. I don't know how it is right now in the US. In Europe, the inflation is crazy. We've had tons of people losing their job on the second half of 2022. 2023 may hopefully get better, but it's still just January, so it's early to say. So I'm guessing lots of people are just trying to make both ends meet, right? So every small saving is probably worth saving. But when you see the complexity here, I'm not sure is worth it. But let's leave aside the fact that it's probably not worth it. But maybe the first headline is just stop working with these guys. Definitely not worth your time. But once we're done with that aspect, there were 2 things, right? In the second paragraph, it was saying it's incredibly painful because it's not automatic. 9 times out of 10, the amount isn't counted automatically. I need to wait for a full month before making a claim. Sounds very painful. Plus, you need to claim the money with screenshots, invoice numbers, account numbers, and all. I don't know what is and all, but I'm guessing there are a bunch of other information and forms to fill for a few dollars at most. So that was the first complaint. And the second one was the very arrogant response after multiple follow-ups saying, as you can see on your account, we've credited you last week. I don't know where to start with that.
I'll start, and I'm going to go back to what I said flippantly and say it a little more sincerely. Why would I do this? We've talked before about like coupons where you have to have all this stuff. You end up buying something and you get 20% off if you do all this stuff. And then, you get one little thing wrong and you don't get it. And the company offering the coupon and the discount, they get, they're discounting at 20%, but they're really only discounting at 15 because a lot of people never go through all the hassle, or they get something wrong and they can't get it to the point. Okay. But in this case, this is some sort of a external loyalty program. And it seems like if a big part of that isn't to make it easy, so I want to participate and be part of your program, how could that program survive? Why would anybody participate in it?
That was actually what I was wondering when reading through the story the first time. I was not, I was wondering, is it worth your time? Should you not just give it up entirely? But I was also thinking, if there is a business, and that's not the first time I hear about this kind of platforms. There've been tons of similar platforms in the past. If they do survive, it must mean, I don't know what is their business model. I'm guessing they're getting a cut. So if you say 5%, they also get 5%. So I'm guessing two things. First, if they are still around, that must be lucrative. They must be making money from it. And second, this is where I'm getting lost. If your business model is when your customer wins, you win.
Right.
Why don't you automatically make sure that your customers win? Because when they lose, not only you lose I don't know if we can say customer, because they're not really customers.
Not even your customer, a member, maybe. I don't know.
You lose your member, but also you lose the revenue that came with the member. So it sounds double stupid. So I'm wondering, what is wrong here? How can this model even work in the first place? And assuming that it does work, because there are businesses doing that, what's missing and what should they fix?
So I'm going to start with one other thing they're doing that financially could help them, and then talk a little and answer your question. The other thing is, it sounds like they're sitting on the money for a good long time. And while it's a few bucks per customer, if they've got a lot of customers, that can be a lot of money. Now, I don't know, in this very small moment with interest rates being so ridiculous, or inflation being such a problem, maybe sitting on some cash isn't that great of a thing. But for the most part, they can make some money just investing the money they have and doing stuff like that. So I could see a model like that. And that would be motivation for why this poor, I'm going to say guy, this poor person had to wait. Sounds like 5 months, right? It was 2 months and then 3 more months, or whatever it is. Had to wait a period of months to get paid. I don't. And this comes down to kind of the final bit here, which is just the slamming of the door, the slapping in the face. If you want me to participate in your program, and then you're going to turn around and write a snarky, nasty email after months. Oh, yeah. I mean,
I've seen. I think we can compare it to the typical startup Uber-like models, where it's always a chicken and the egg. If you think about Uber, you need two things. You need to cater for customers, and you need to cater for drivers. So you have those two pools. And if you get a lot of drivers but no customers, you make no money. If you get a lot of customers but no drivers, your customers are going to drop. So that's a chicken and the egg, because you never know where to start, and you have to maintain these two pools of satisfied partners / customers. That's not that different. I'm guessing this kind of platforms, they have teams dedicated to curating more vendors to be partners on their platform, because if you don't have enough vendors, then no one is going to be interested in your program. And in the same time, they are searching for members to actually join the program to buy from the vendors so that the business model can work. And that's always a chicken and the egg. And it does feel, and maybe I'm wrong here, but it does feel like their problem is they probably care more about satisfying the vendors than actually the members. Because if it's not automatic, if it takes complexity to get what you're owed, if it takes months to get a response, and if the service is not even that good or polite to start with,
or if it's hostile.
Exactly. You're going to kill one of the two pools, and what's going to happen is if one collapses, you can pay as much effort as you want on the second one. It's not going to work. Imagine Uber with tons of drivers and no customers. Yeah, it's hard to maintain. Already today with both pools, it's hard to maintain. But imagine without one of them. So I'm guessing it's probably a wrong management of how do I cater for my two audiences internally, and therefore not keeping in mind customer or member first. Probably one of the issues they're facing here.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. My comment about they're sitting on money may be completely wrong. It maybe they're not paying because the vendor, they're struggling with vendor relationships and they're not getting paid by the vendors for a long time. And that's why I was kind of assuming they were getting the money up front and then, acting as a reseller and buying it, but maybe not. Maybe they just get a finder's fee from the vendor.
Well, I think there is some technical issues because in the first paragraph, it was saying, when I buy from these vendors, assuming one, I click from the service platform, so you don't go on the website directly. 2, I accept the cookies. 3, I don't use any promo code. So there must be some technical tracking using third parties and cookies and all these technologies that, if you follow the news, cookies are pretty much at the end of their life right now. It might very well be that technically is not viable, and therefore they have to rely on people claiming 9 times out of 10, that vendor owes me that much, and therefore they probably put so much human resources into trying to grab the money and verify everything with the vendors. It's probably nothing or very little that's actually happening automatically on the platform, which, if the whole purpose is to have something that works automatically and it's actually human made, there's probably another issue to fix here.
Yeah, that's true. And there's clearly plenty of human issues because somewhere behind the scenes, if you have an agent treating someone that way, you've got a management problem. You've got a just the way you're handling your people problem.
Yeah, it reminds me of 2 of the stories of yours, actually. The first one was a pizza restaurant nearby your home or nearby a friend or family home where you would order from the app, and actually when you go to the restaurant, they tell you, please don't use the app. And it's like, we've built our business around technology. The technology is so terrible. Please talk to us instead.
Whatever you do, don't use it. Yeah.
And then you had another story, a more recent one that was, I can't remember the details of that one, even though it's more recent. You had another story that that was with the 2 airlines that got married and they split up. United Airlines and Alaska Airlines, or whatever
American
it was.
Alaska.
American Airlines.
And during as they were divorcing, they were really snarky, and all of a sudden they're nice again.
And it looks like customer service representative being unpleasant could be the outcome of receiving 50 times a day the same request from different people about why don't I get my money, and just getting frustrated with their job at some point, because what is the value added of me being a human being if the machine I'm relying on, I actually have to do its job? There's probably some of that as well.
Yeah, I agree. And that speaks to yet another argument for why I never want to be a member of whatever this club is.
I'll try to get the name. There is no name dropping of the actual service, but I'll try to figure it out to make sure you never step there. You have so many subscriptions on your back already. You definitely don't need anything else, Max. All right. Well, I hope we have at least shed some light on it. But if there is one thing from the customer perspective, not from the company perspective, there's one learning from that session is just step away from it. Stop using these services. They are probably not worth it.
Hopefully there's an alternate you can find that'll do the same. If you're trying to save a few bucks, find another way to save a few bucks.
I think so too. But hope we've answered the question. Hope that was satisfactory. Please keep them coming. With this new model, we're trying as best as we can not to use our own stories, but for that to work, we need to get your stories. So please keep them coming. Next week, that's going to be Max, not reading a story, but acting a story. So hopefully that'll be a good one.
I don't have to mime it, right? I can use words.
Well, we'll see. The rules may change, from one week to the other.
All right.
All right. Thank you for sharing sharing your wisdom with us again, Max.
All right.
Today. And
thanks for sharing the story. Do you feel like your person will feel better?
You know what? Even though it's anonymous, I actually have the name, so I'm going to be able to catch up and see whether the answers were aligned with the expectations. So I feel we were on point, but I'll let you know.
I feel we were on point. I don't think, if it were me, I don't think I'd feel any better. It's like, yeah, your service sucks. Don't use it. Not all that useful, but hopefully it helped.
We'll see. Well, thank you so much for your time, Max, and I will talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, Julien. Good to see you.
Thanks, Max. Bye.
Bye.